Alrighty, Erica. Well, thank you for hopping on this interview. It's been a wild few months having you in the mentorship. So, first things first, if you can just introduce yourself, what got you into trading, how you found me in the first place, um, and just kind of like some background information about yourself. So, whoever's watching this, they can kind of get an idea of who Erica is and, what motivated you to even start trading in the first place. Maybe some like background also on your, if you work a job or how you scheduled your hours and stuff like that.
So my name is Erica. Originally, I went to college, got my degree in biochemistry. From there, worked as a chemist, did like lab management, quality control management. But I'd always been like super interested in the markets, whether it was like investing or just how to like make my money work for me. And so I got to a point like last year where I was like not happy with like my work life balance and like all that stuff. So I like started seriously like reading up on day trading because like I always kind of knew that like the money's out there, right? I just have to figure out how to like harness it properly. And so I started reading books, and then my TikTok algorithm started working for me. And that's actually how I found you. Um, and the reason I really gravitated looking more into like your mentorship was because everything that I was reading in the books, you were kind of also saying as well. So I was like, oh, okay, probably isn't like, this doesn't feel scammy, like, because there's a lot of scammers out there. Um, and so from there, I'd already decided, like, before I actually signed up for your mentorship, I'd already decided to like quit my big boy job. Um, and I took a night job that was actually working overnights from like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So while I was in the mentorship on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would trade until like noon or 1, unless I was having like a really good day. And then I would like sleep so that way I could go to work, come home 7 a.m., eat breakfast, trade till noon or 1, and then like do that over again.
Hmm.
So
Got it. No, that definitely makes sense. I think it's interesting, kind of you already decided to kind of go like all into trading even before you
yeah.
met me. Most people kind of like take it slow, but you kind of like knew this was something that you wanted to do, which, I mean, when you're all in, and you have, there's no looking back. So it kind of gives you like an advantage, I feel.
For sure, I definitely was like, if I don't like go into it 100%, if I feel like there's like a safety net or something, like, you can kind of back off or you can not treat it as seriously. And so I've always like in other situations in my life too, I've always kind of like set myself up where like we're doing this.
Hmm. Awesome. So, next question, and this is what really everyone wants to know. Can you give us a quick little overview, rundown of just your progress? Because it's been insane. So, kind of, exactly when you started trading, how long you paper traded, how much you were making when you first started, making some money, and then how much, you're making now. If you can kind of give like the progress so far.
Yeah. So I think June in the summer was when I kind of like, I had my own account set up, and this was before I signed up with the mentorship. I was doing like a little bit of paper trading there to just try to like figure out the platform. But when I signed up for the mentorship, I was using real money, but I always kept my risk super low. That was the thing, was I didn't feel like paper trading like really, really helped me. But I just kept my risk at like $5, $10. And I signed up for your mentorship. It was probably like the end of August, I think. And for like the first month, I was doing like really well. I was probably making like, I don't know, maybe like 100, $200 a week for maybe like the first 3 weeks off of like a $5 to $10 risk, which was really good. But I think that had a lot to do with like the environment as well. Because then like we kind of just the markets weren't really doing well, and I was still going through like the university stuff, and I was like not doing very well at all for a little bit. But and I think that was kind of like October, November. I just couldn't be consistent. That was where like that's why I never raised my risk until the end of December, was because I was still building consistency. Once I built consistency and then like really leaned into a lot of the scalping stuff, and I kind of did that closer to like the end of or the middle of like December. That along with switching over to Thinkorswim. The moment I switched over to Thinkorswim, things also got a lot easier for sure. And I haven't had a negative day since like December 28th. And so last month in January, I did 22K. It was a huge jump from about like 400, I think, in December to 22K in January. And then for this month, I think I'm up probably about 15K on the month.
And it's
So
only, we still got another probably
yeah,
seven,
7 days.
another week of trading. So you're probably going to smash through
Oh yeah.
January for sure.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's awesome. I'm also noticing like in terms of you're making more money, but then your day you've scaled the amount that you're making also per day. You know what I mean? Where you're
Yes.
having like $3,000 to $4,000 days, and I feel like plus the environment's been pretty tough the last like honestly like two
Yeah.
to three weeks, and like you've taken a big jump when the environment has been kind of like not so conducive to like big moves. So whenever we do start getting the big moves again, I feel like you're gonna take another massive jump.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope so too. I think the biggest thing for me was definitely just keeping my risk as low as I had it until I knew every little portion, right? Until I knew, like, had been through a bunch of chart trades in different environments, had been through a bunch of different scalps in different environments, and kind of got consistency across the board rather than like having a good week, raising my risk, having a bad week, having to like lower it again, or like kind of go back and forth. And then, like I said, the moment I switched over to like Thinkorswim, that was also a game changer too.
You were
And
using
I did,
Webull before?
yeah, I was using Webull before. And I mean, I know people make money on Webull, not knocking it. I just, when you're in the mentorship, I didn't have anybody to ask really specific questions about Webull. So
Yeah.
like that doesn't help. I had to like Google or watch videos, and just ergonomically, I also like wasn't super into it either.
Mm-hmm.
But
Got it. No, that's amazing. Number one, it's been a pleasure having you in the mentorship, just like seeing your results. You're just like another student that's just printing now. And also your like contribution in the room too. Like you've been calling out a lot of good plays. So like I appreciate that. It's like I feel like we finally have such a good community where it's like fun being in there every day. Everyone's talking and stuff. So, you know,
No, I definitely like it. Because I mean, like you said, I mean, you've said this before. It's like we've got more eyes on stuff. So, like you can scan, I can scan, everybody else is also scanning and throwing out ideas. And like that helps everybody at the end of the day.
what would you say has been the biggest, maybe roadblock or struggle or obstacle in your trading so far since you started in the mentorship from day one? And how would you say the mentorship kind of, and obviously like me live trading, how would you say it helped you overcome that challenge?
Um, Not being very, so my thing was I wasn't being selective on the trades I was taking in the beginning. I had to learn through listening to you every day, kind of talk about like, you're quick to kind of be like, yeah, it's a setup, but I don't love it. And then like I'll be like, why don't you love it? Hang on, tell me more. Like because I wasn't doing that like early on. I was losing, R's left and right because I was like, oh, that's a valid setup. That's a valid setup. And being in the room with you, like being able to listen to you critiquing the setups as we're like seeing them and influencing our decision to be like, hey, like this is why it's not an A+ setup. It's a B setup and that kind of thing. And once I kind of started to be more selective and kind of see and hear a lot of that to be able to influence kind of my decision making, like that helped me and just not lose money a lot on just like
hmm
subpar setups that didn't follow through.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like with trading, so much of it is not necessarily what you do, it's what you don't do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like what you do in terms of like a lot of the trades we make money on are pretty straightforward. It's more like not losing on like the kind of so-so setups.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
for sure.
What would you say what's your favorite part about being now a full-time day trader? And is this something that, you're going to be doing for the rest of your life?
Yeah, that's the plan. So actually, I did quit my job, my night job. I did quit that kind of like at the end of, or it was February 1st, I think, was my last day there. And I mean, honestly, just looking forward to, um, really like the work-life balance. The big thing that, really made me quit like my professional job and stuff like that was like the fighting for like, negotiating for like 2 weeks paid vacation, 3 weeks paid vacation. Like, oh, if I have a doctor's appointment, I gotta answer to all these people or make sure that things are like okay. And then when I'm not at work, I'm just constantly thinking about work. And for me, I love hearing the bell go off in the morning and the bell go off in the afternoon. Because after that, like, there's nothing for me to take home. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that like just kind of like the freedom with the work-life balance for sure. And then also, I just love trading. It's exciting. Like, you know, it
Mm-hmm.
gets your blood pumping.
I agree. I love it too. I love it too,
Yeah.
100%. Awesome. You honestly answered most of my questions. Kind of another one for you is, what would you say your favorite part of being in the mentorship is? And then what would you say to someone who maybe is on the fence of joining the mentorship? They need that extra reassurance, they see all the other student results. They're like, oh my God, this is crazy. They're kind of on the fence
Yeah.
about it. What would you say to someone who's kind of in that situation, who wants to join, but maybe they need extra confidence?
Do it. Like, I mean, I don't know, in terms of like the extra confidence, like it's worth it. Like it was 100% worth it. The moment you kind of like get into the, all of the education that you've put on there, everything starts to click, and you've got the mentor right there to answer your questions. You don't understand something, you just ask the questions. And then as far as like my favorite thing for the community or my favorite part about the mentorship is just the community we have. Being able to talk to everybody in the room all day. If we're having a super slow day, we're, making jokes, cutting up a little bit until we find something and stuff like that. Like it's just a good group of people. And we all have the same agenda, right? We want good trades. We want follow through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, for anybody who's like on the fence, I mean, it's 100% worth it. Even if you're like still working part time or something like that, it's worth it to just kind of like dive right in, absorb the education, and then just practice. Like whether that's through paper trading, doing what I did, keeping your risk super small, just until you get really comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's also been a pleasure, like I said, mentoring you. You're very, like you engage a lot in the community too, which is awesome. And I agree. I think like the fact that I think some students don't ask enough questions, honestly. Like,
right.
because I remember you were asking questions all the time, which I encourage, like, and that's why you like saw such great results. I got one last question for you. In terms of moving forward, let's say the next January, February, March, April. So like March, April, May. Do you have specific like goals in terms of how much you want to make in those months, or like what's the next kind of like what are you aiming for next in terms of like profit in a month, let's say?
Um, so I like the idea of if I can just make $1,000 a day, that's kind of like, I've proved time and time again that like I can get there even if I have to like just hammer it out, just doing, the small stuff and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like large and awesome. I can do that. So I'd like to keep that as like a steady state sort of thing. But also, I'm not necessarily done scaling my risk. One thing I need to work on is being in the scalps anyways, is being more comfortable starting out with more share sizes,
Mm-hmm.
because I know how we like size in to certain scalps and stuff like that. I feel like, on today, one of the trades we took, I felt like I could have had a lot more size that I still would have been comfortable with risk wise. Um, that wouldn't have been over my risk or anything, but just in order to capitalize on that. So as I kind of do that, hopefully that'll mean, maybe it'll be above 20K when it's all said and done after each month, because I'm still slowly, trying to size in a little bigger to some of these scalps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, definitely I'd say like minimum 20K a month. I mean, if that turns into, 2K a day, if that turns into 40, like that works for me too.
Yeah, no, that's like awesome. Have you told like your family or your friends or partner, like whatever, like
Oh yeah.
how has the response been? I feel like they're probably like, and most people are like, what, like that, how
Right. Yeah.
you know?
For sure. I remember telling when I told my parents that I quit because I had like a six-figure job last year. So when I told my parents that I was like, I'm gonna quit my job. I was like, I'm gonna get a night thing. I'm gonna do day trading. I remember my dad's response exactly. He goes, I've known a lot of people who lost their shirt with day trading.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not gonna be like that, Dad. It's not gonna be like that. Um, but I mean, they trust my judgment, I guess, which is kind of a good thing. So they were just like, yeah, they're just like, as long as you have this other job doing your thing. They weren't as like against it as I think some people are, but they definitely were like, they were super surprised when it started working as fast as it did. My mom was like, kind of like, that's what I make in this many weeks, like. So they were very shocked by how fast everything just went exponential, like. And then yeah, my partner's been on board the whole time. She's been fantastic during like some of those early months where like I was just getting frustrated, but I was also like doing all the wrong things. Like in
Hmm.
probably like the first month, maybe. Like she's been there to be like, well, you don't want to quit, and I was like, yeah, that's true. So she was been instrumental in like helping me through that and stuff. Um, and yeah, I've told some of my friends. Some of them aren't surprised. Some of them were like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like.
Yeah. Awesome. I guess, do you have any questions for me?
I mean, not really. I tend to ask them all during the day,
Yeah.
but
Well, honestly, thank you for coming and doing this. Great interview. I feel like you answered all my questions really well. So I'm really happy that, whenever you did take the leap and you joined the mentorship, obviously like seeing your results now, it's really insane. And yeah, you're going to be a major contributor to the 10 million in student profits at the end of the year. I think
yeah,
you're even a little too low. I think you could hit 40,
yeah,
50K a month. I mean, I don't see why not. Like if other people are doing it, like your results are exponential. Like who knows, maybe that next
yeah.
step is like you're going to have like crazy, crazy days. So
Right.
that's the
See, I
goal.
feel like that's part of the problem is like I'm like, oh yeah, this is a nice amount, and it's just like, but I could be doing this. Like, I just got to scale in. I just got to start with that 4K shares right there. Like,
F- True. I mean, exactly. Like you could scale your risk. Like you start with 4K, maybe next thing you do, you're getting with 8, 10, 12,
yeah,
15K. That's so
yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
Thanks for doing the interview. I'm going to go ahead and it was a really good one.